What's up, everybody? It is Fitz, host of the Let's Argue podcast. Thank you for tuning in on this Friday afternoon. We got a couple topics we need to talk about. I know the internet is going crazy over this new J. Cole diss. For those of you who don't know, J. Cole responded back to a Kendrick diss, so we're gonna get into that. Talk about it on a little deeper level, or maybe you'll get some value from it. And that's the point of this channel. Hopefully, you get some value. We're going to talk about D.L. Hughley calling Elon Musk a white supremacist simply because he did an interview with Don Lemon and disagreed with him on certain points. We're going to talk about this and more. Before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Show support for the channel. All right, I'm going to bring the co-host Ty up and going to get into it. What up? How you doing?
Yo. Hold on, let me take some of this water.
Sipping on that lean.
So I'm not just minding my business, is what they say. So I ain't coughing. I'm getting over this sickness. But what up, everybody? It's your boy Ty. Hit me up at _Wolfwagon_ for all your dog training tips and needs. We got the blog coming out every week. There's no specific date on the blog either. It's just kind of the way it flows. So we'll probably have something drop either today or this weekend. But holla at your boy. Got all the videos, tips, everything on there right now. We're going to drop some new stuff coming soon with the summertime coming up. Springtime coming. Yeah, we in there, baby. Cold world, no blanket.
See, you ready? You ready to talk about this this J. Cole Kendrick beef? So just to start out, to give people a little background, Kendrick Lamar made, I guess, a diss track towards J. Cole and Drake. What was it, like a couple weeks ago? 2-3 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a little minute.
2-3 weeks ago. And essentially he was referencing something that J. Cole had said when J. Cole said something about him, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake being the big three. And I think it was, a reference to the Ice Cube's Big Three League as well, just to kind of give it that a shout out. But I guess Kendrick Lamar was feeling some type of way. He said, it ain't no big three, it's just the big me. And that started some stuff. There was also a couple other lines. I mean, what are your thoughts on this quote unquote beef? Do you look at this as a rap beef? Do you look at this as just two rappers at the height of their game, rapping back and forth, trying to keep it entertaining? How do you see this? Is this Biggie Tupac level?
Nah. I mean, maybe. Hey, that'd be crazy if we seen a new generation Tupac and Biggie type level. That'd be crazy. Obviously, that ended in very tragic events as well. But I just see it as a healthy competition. Going back and forth, letting people know what it is and what you stand on, and you can really come at this if you wanted to, but you've been playing the background for a little while. So I don't think it's any rap beef per se, but I mean it could be, But I think it's just healthy competition. You need that sometimes.
Who do you think benefits more from this, Kendrick or J. Cole?
Probably Kendrick.
Why do you say that?
Kendrick, I mean, if you think about it, how much exposure has Kendrick really had outside of his last album? Right? Cole went away for a while, but he's come back and he's been dropping project after project. Now he's on tour with Drake. So it's really more exposure for him than for people to get back into his music rather than J. Cole. J. Cole just, he's just showing his lyricism and showing why he feels like he's a god boxing a midget.
I'm not gonna lie. This dude, I wake up, right? I'm gonna tell the story. I woke up and like I follow J. Cole on YouTube, so I have the notifications. So I see the notification that says J. Cole on something 3,000 or whatever. I think it was like 3,000, right? J. Cole 3,000. I was like, oh, J. Cole just dropped a new song. And anytime J. Cole drop a new song, I send it to this guy. I send it to Ty. So I go to scroll and I see I got like a couple messages from this guy right underneath it talking about J. Cole did this. J. Cole done this Kendrick. Here's the track. He done recited some of these lyrics. So I'm like, let me go check this out. Let me go check this out. And in my opinion, J. Cole won. J. Cole won the back and forth. Just based on lyrics, based on him more so not like sneak dissing or beating around the bush, but just kind of going at it. And here's the thing, right? Some people are saying, well, Kendrick won because he only had like a line or two where that was his diss, and J. Cole needed a whole 7 minutes or whatever. But here's the thing, right? What Kendrick said wasn't really personal to J. Cole. Like it wasn't about his music. It wasn't about any. It was pretty much just like, ain't no big three. It's just me. But it wasn't personal. J. Cole made it personal. And I know Kendrick is gonna, take some of it to heart. That's my opinion. I think like he got personal. Like he was talking about, he was giving the order of his albums, ranking his albums. He was talking about nobody really talks about you unless you're dissing people. You barely release any music. You're not relevant. You done fell off. Your last album was trash pretty much. Like he got personal. Kendrick really didn't get personal. And so what that makes me think of in real life when people try to bully you and they think that you're an easy target because you're more reserved, and then you respond and they're like, oh, I didn't take it there though. That's what this reminds me of. Because he was not just that the diss track, but he was on some other tracks saying some other stuff. Talking about people he littered his album. Littered his album, threw it on the ground, stepped on it.
Illiterate. Oof. Oof. Nah, I mean, I think this is people have to they have to digest the music a little bit more and see the creativity behind it, because even the song that Kendrick was on, Drake used that sample, like I told you earlier, a long time ago, in one of his albums. So that sample is new. It's not new, but it's new to people who are up and coming. You know what I'm saying? So when they hear Kendrick going in, they're like, you know what I'm saying? They get turned because they don't know that Kendrick always raps like that, like aggressive. But then the beat is what reminds people of certain songs. But the biggest reflection that I've seen was like J. Cole is more. I think J. Cole has evolved more as a person on a level of like, I don't really want to have to get into this with y'all, but if y'all keep poking the bear and disturbing the peace, I'm gonna, I'm gonna get it back to where I need it to be. You feel me? As far as like Kendrick is still, I think Kendrick is still stuck in a mentality that he's still, I mean, I can't say he's not in the streets, but that he still thinks he's living the life that he was when he was 20, in his 20s. I don't know how old he is now. I think he's probably, what, 40, 50, around there, somewhere around there? I mean,
Nah,
not 50, but 40s
you in
probably.
these ages. He's in his 30s.
Nah, he old. He look old, bro.
He in his 30s. He's like
Nah,
between 34 and 36.
let me see. He just feel old. I know J. Cole getting old. 36. Man. Must be the crack. Nah, I'm just playing. Oh, that sickness. But yeah, man. As far as like, I mean, for somebody to respond to you with a whole, I'm not even call it an album. I think it's more like a mixtape type of vibe. Respond to your diss like that with multiple other artists. You got Gucci Man, Boz, Central C. You got
Lil
who else is
Fitz.
on there? Huh?
Lil Fitz.
This guy. Why am I blanking on them dudes' names? Let me see. Hold on. I can't get their names wrong because it's disrespectful.
Well,
Yeah, you got Young Dro on there. I didn't even know that. That Lit and Absol. If I said their names wrong, I apologize. But he came hard with it, man. I don't even think it was like a diss. It was more like you want to mess around and find out type of mentality. Because they were like, oh, J. Cole's not aggressive. I mean, that was an intelligent response, in my opinion.
well, here's something I like something that you mentioned just to talk about this on a deeper level to add value, which is you have Kendrick over here that seems to be more so representing growth. Like, hey, I'm just chilling. I don't really want to be out here dissing people involved in this type of energy. And you have Kendrick where no one's even mentioning anything, and he's more so the aggressor, right? Kendrick is the aggressor. J. Cole is just chilling back. And I think this represents something in Black culture where when you do get to a place of peace, that's when people want to start, attacking you or trying to provoke you to see how about it you are. I see that in Black culture. And for me, it's just I just question, like, I understand why J. Cole responded. I don't understand why Kendrick was the aggressor. It's very confusing to me. And what it makes me think of is on a larger level, it's commercially acceptable and it's commonplace for Black men to, I don't even want to say just be competitive, but to argue in front of the masses. Like, I don't see this in any other genre outside of like UFC fighting or something like that, like a combat sport. But I don't see it in any other music genre where, like, for instance, white country singers aren't going at other white country singers. It just seems to be very unique within Black culture and within Black art forms where we're publicly, like, not only making the songs but like supporting them and things like that. What are your thoughts?
Excuse me, I had a cough. Yeah, I think I don't know with the rap game, it's always been like that. I mean, from day one, people have rap battled, so it's always become it has its roots. You know what I'm saying? So does it make it look like from your perspective that you're saying it can look like dancing in a circus, right? That type of stereotype where a bunch of monkeys in a zoo. You know what I mean? That's the vibes it can give off to somebody not within the Black community, right? Outside communities. And you are right. A lot of other people don't do it. And I think they're just not really interested in it because there's a space for everybody to exist. Like when you ask somebody who's the best country artist, they'll probably name off like 5 different people. Or they'll name off an OG and then some of the new folks after that. So there's always room for everybody with rap culture, hip hop culture. It's one or nothing.
But
Like,
here's my problem with it. My problem with it is, okay, so we understand that particularly in Black culture, white America or whatever, the majority race in this country, they tend to pit Black people versus Black people. This goes back to plantation days. This goes into maybe even jobs and stuff where there can only be one. I remember in college, I was going for my master's degree, and there was myself and another Black person in the class. And I noticed that whenever I would say something, he would have an opposite perspective. And the professor pulled me aside one day, and we talk openly about race, racism, all this stuff going on in the world. He was like, hey, I've been teaching for like 20 years, and I noticed that whenever there's like 2 or 3 Black people in a course, there's always that competition to be the right one, like to be the Black person that represents the truth or whatever.
mm-hmm.
This was like he's a Native American professor, but he was just sharing that insight with me. And that just makes me think of like in the past, I don't remember there being a jazz beef. I don't remember there being like a R&B beef or whatever, like where R&B singers or jazz or any other black cultural form where they were publicly calling them out and things like that. Maybe the media did it and other groups of people did it and they would make comparisons. Prince, Michael Jackson. But I don't remember Michael Jackson getting on Thriller being like, calling out Prince, stuff like that. So it seems unique to rap, but it seems also acceptable because who cares, right? But I don't think people see how destructive it can be.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, it's entertainment. At the end of the day, that's what people are going to say. It's entertainment. And that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, what is entertaining about two black men who many could argue are at the top of their genre, at the top of their art form? What is entertaining about them tearing each other down?
It makes money. Continues to make money and enforce the stereotypes that black men can't get along, that there's black on black crime, where they're aggressors towards each other, we kill each other, um, and all those other discriminatory stereotypes and stigmas. It reinforces all that. And they play right into it. Some people could say, oh, they're doing this because they want to, but I think Kendrick came out with that stuff because people were in his ear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're not a top no more. You ain't hot no more. You trash. You this, you that. And I think that's what kind of fueled, even though he knows that he's a great artist, I think there's always still that subconscious doubt where it's like, I gotta step out and say something. And then, Cole might feel the same way, or he might just be like, I'm gonna have some fun with it. So
here's where I get confused when people say it's about competition or like this makes you more competitive, right? So basketball, for instance, like I play basketball. If someone were talking crap about me in basketball, right? And let's say that I played them one-on-one and we have a record. I have 10 losses against them or 10 wins against them. They have 11 wins against me. There's a record to where we can actually see who's better, right? Who's better at one-on-one. There's a record. So if that person comes out and they say, well, Fitz, he sucks at three-pointers, right? Or he sucks at basketball. There's a way for me to prove that, like playing them one-on-one, that I'm better than them. We can do that. So maybe that can make me more competitive to where it pushes me to be able to beat them, right? When it comes to rap, I don't see how Kendrick or J. Cole coming out talking about the other person makes them create a better album. I know there's the entertainment part of it, but I don't see how it's like, okay, now I'm going to be a better rapper, or now I'm going to, like, how would you even measure? Is it like Kendrick dissed J. Cole and now J. Cole came out with this great album, and so that's because of Kendrick, or vice versa? How are we measuring that this is making them more competitive?
That's an interesting thing to think about. I don't know.
Because it's just your art. It's like
Right?
You have a fan base and they mess with your music, and they have a fan base over there and they mess with your music. So how are we measuring whether the the diss made them more competitive or not? How are we measuring it? That seems like something personal. Like we may not know for years. Maybe J. Cole heard that diss from Kendrick and that made him more competitive. So he started going to the studio 8 hours a day instead of 5 hours a day. We may not know that if he doesn't come out and say it, but if we're just listening to his next album, we don't know what caused a shift. So I don't know that it makes them more competitive.
I think it depends on the way they come with it. Like when, for example, the Drake and Meek Mill beef a long time ago. Drake came out with that song. I mean, fire, right? Meek Mill came out with his. It's kind of the same old trash, And then Drake capitalized on that and then started doing it at his concerts, started putting up videos, all these things. So I think it's more. I think the way we measured is like the creativity, the lyrics. What kind of beats are they using? How did they get to that point? Are they creating the beats? Are they using somebody else? Are they using a ghostwriter? So I think those are kind of ways to measure it. I'm not sure if it really makes them more competitive because usually when you get into rap beef, it's more emotional than it is standing on business. I feel like,
Right.
I think Cole did a great job of standing on business this time because it wasn't more of like, you a piece of, but we both great, but I'm the god of this stuff. I do this.
Well, and another thing is it's not really measuring apples to apples. Like I don't think it measures skill set. I think it measures, like there are some people where they're just not good at roasting other people, or they're not good at talking about people personally, right?
Hmm.
Like there are some people, they live for pettiness. That's me, right? They live for pet. Like there are some things that I don't even know how I could come up with that idea. It's just there, me being petty. But there are other people where it's like they don't have that in them. So like a Kendrick may diss J. Cole, but let's say J. Cole just isn't a petty person, or he doesn't care that much, or he's not going to go look into Kendrick's background and listen to his albums to see, where he can poke and prod, right? So it doesn't even seem like the rap battle is the best way to measure who the better rapper is, because it seems like that's the idea is you diss me, I diss you. We can pair those disses, and then whoever had the better diss is the better rapper. But some people, that's not their lane. That's not what they do. So it's really not an accurate representation of who the better rapper is, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Everybody's opinion of it is different, and I think from your standpoint, you look at it a little bit more analytically rather than the average person. Again, I think, the population that this is for is people who are not thinking in that perspective. It's more of, again, entertainment. I want to hear these two men go against each other, and I want a definitive winner. So they'll base it off of whose this was a little bit more aggressive or passionate or whatever.
Right. And I'm all here for the entertainment. Like I love the entertainment. I just find myself questioning, why is it entertaining? What does it mean? And I think for me, what it means is like you're in your own bubble over here. Kind of like a Dr. Umar Johnson interview versus a Candace Owens, right? They have their own things going on. They're debating other people, or they're doing this, they're doing that, but they haven't come together and debated each other. And I could probably guess what Candace Owens would say in that situation and Dr. Umar. But I think honing the debate skills, the intellectual capacity, and focusing in on, that specific moment makes it like, okay, now we can compare something.
Right. Yeah. It's all about what resonates with you, man. Really. And hopefully people will see it in that way of analytically understanding that there's different pieces to this, right? And how it's all connected to life and being able to connect it to the examples that you made about um, black men always going against each other and it being almost a crabs in the bucket mentality. I can see that too. I can see that being a thing too. Like, why can't everybody just coexist? Because I mean, look at what Drake and J. Cole have been doing. They've been touring together. Two of the best, maybe even the greats in the rap game, touring together, having a great time, living life. But they don't. That doesn't make enough money compared to this isn't going against each other. So, but again, it's what resonates with you because when I heard Kendrick's diss, I wasn't like, for me, there's that piece inside of me that I can understand the aggression. I can understand, wilding out. This me, you got me. You know what I'm saying? We did it. I did it in college. You know how it go. But the other side with J. Cole is like, I'm living my life, but I really get active if I need to, if this becomes more than what it needs to be. So I resonate with that because it's like, I'm not really trying to be on violence, but if you come in my yard and make me feel threatened, then I'm gonna have to address you. So yeah.
Right. Nah, I'm thinking about this because it seems like rap beefs were passed down from like the older generation of rappers to the newer generation. It just seems like something that the newer generation feels they have to keep going as part of the tradition. And it just makes me think of like all the traditions in Black culture that are passed down and we really have no need for them anymore, but we just do that because that's what they did. They did that. They were spanking their children all the time, so we have to. They were eating fried chicken and eating salty food, so we need to. They live by these wives' tales, so we need to. All these different things. So it reminds me of that because it seemed like the rap beefs back in like the 90s were actual beefs where these people actually had problems with each other in real life.
Yeah.
Now it just seems more like a marketing tool, a marketing ploy. We know that it works. Like 50 Cent going at P. Diddy, things like that. Like we know that it works, and I think the internet elevates it. Whereas before, like if you're just on the radio, you may not want to use your radio track to diss somebody, like, but now you can just put it out on the internet, a random track dissing somebody, and it's so much easier, and it can add that momentum and that much more of a Kanye effect to your situation, your life. Like Kanye does that all the time. Every time he's about to drop an album, he says something offensive or he does something wild. Seems like this is a common thing with Kendrick. He's about to drop an album or something. He goes and disses somebody.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. And I one thing I want to point out too, and we'll probably get more into this in a second, but why is it that when we get into this economic status, we get all this money, this fame, these resources, these connections, why do we feel a need to continue to put on a persona when we're not really connected like that anymore? You know what I'm saying? Like bro, if I'm 36 and I got kids, a family, I'm not really trying to be in the streets no more. I'm not really trying to be on any of that type of time. You know what I'm saying? So why is it only, and I may be biased because I haven't seen any other cultures do this, but why is it only when Black people get into this heightened level of never having to worry about their families, experience any more trauma, generational wealth, all these things, why do they jeopardize it? For what? Bro, if I'm rich, why am I going into a rap battle with somebody? Bro, I'm rich.
Well, what it is they may be rich but not wealthy. That's one thing. They may be rich but not wealthy. So they may have made a lot of money, but they may have spent a lot of money, and they have to keep doing whatever they need to do to make money, to replenish. I don't necessarily think it's limited to culture. What I think it is it's business. It's like business 101, knowing your target audience. So I always say, like, whatever you have to do to get your foot in the door, if you really didn't like that, you're not going to love what you have to do to keep your foot in the door and to stay inside that door. So if you have to act this way to get into the door, there's probably going to be more of this once you get on the other side of the door. And a lot of these rappers, they probably started in the rap game, really living this lifestyle, or maybe wanting to live it. They were closer to this lifestyle than they are now. But that's what got them their fan base. So their fan base doesn't want to hear them come out now and talk about I'm living positive, blah blah blah. They still want to hear this other stuff, and it's very difficult because um, if your music isn't really relatable anymore, then you're screwed. So me as someone who's 30 now,
Damn.
if I start listening to somebody when I was 15, well, now 15 years later, if I can't relate to them, they have to go get a new audience. Like, yeah, there's gonna be some people that listen to Lil Wayne just because they grew up on him, but if they can no longer relate, they're not gonna consume the music like they once did. So he needs a new audience. Well, if there's not people gangbanging anymore, saying Sue Woo and all this other stuff, who's his audience gonna be? He's gonna have a hard time keeping that audience or finding a new audience. So you have to adjust and adapt. And some people are not able to adapt. Like their style was so, like just about gang banging and just about this and that. And they don't even feel real saying it anymore.
Yeah, I got to a point too, kind of speaking on what you said, where I don't consume as much rap or hip hop anymore. I really don't listen to music as much anymore either. And I'm very selective about the music that I do listen to now, because it can have an effect on your mood. It can have an effect on your mindset, your personality, the way you act around other people. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll bump some different stuff here and now and then and get active, get crunk and all that stuff, but it don't really resonate as much as it did when I was younger. And then I look back and think, why was I listening to this in the first place? Because I wasn't really living a lot of these things that they were talking about. So definitely, I would definitely like to see them transitioning more into talking about fatherhood, talking about getting over the humps they had to get over being a kid of a single mom with no dad, or I'm tired of the aggression. I don't want to be aggressive.
Well, and another thing is that many of these rappers are, in my mind, just another face of white supremacy. Like they're not saying what they think. They're not, and that this is not some victim stuff. This is literally like, if you look at the research, a lot of these songs are based off of caricatures or a hyper vigilant, hyper aggressive version of what many white people see black men in particular as, and black women. And so this is pretty much the brainchild of a certain subset of white America. This is why white people consume rap more than black people. This is their entertainment. It's like we're entertained by J. Cole and Kendrick. The diss, a lot of them are entertained by, where else are you gonna go? What other music genre are you gonna go where women are talking about they have, a wet pussy? Like where are you gonna go to get that? You only get that one place on this earth, and we know where that is, in black culture, black music. So it's a rarity. It's where else are you gonna go watch a music video of women pretty much naked, grinding on each other, doing stuff? Black culture. And so our culture is a joke. Our culture, in a large part, I'll say rap, the rap part of it, hip hop, the music form, has just become entertainment for white people. That's what it's entertainment for white people. And the more black people co-sign it, the more entertaining it is for white people. So yeah, I think a lot of it is pushed by these executives at the label. They know what's selling, what's not selling. There's profit to be made, and they understand that certain lyrics, it's like, there's no doubt in my mind that they have an AI that analyzes all the lyrics, all the rap song lyrics, and that's tied to how many views it gets on YouTube, or how much money, how many album sales, how many iTunes clicks, how many whatever. And then they can analyze that data in real time and see what are the most common words used, what are the most common phrases used, what is the sentiment, is it negative, is it positive? And then they have an algorithm that they can spit out and say, here's the type of song that we need this 19-year-old dude with dreadlocks to say. And that's what happens. So rap culture, that's not black culture. Those are two different things. I say I agree partly, but I do think that rap culture and black culture they're intertwined. There's like part of rap culture is black culture, but then part of it is white people's idea of black culture. And we know how much we know how much black people want to please white people. So. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Cold war on no blanket, baby. Get with it and get lost. If you support
the real
Kendrick,
is back. The Ville is back.
Feel me?
Field is back. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next story. D.L. Hughley calls Elon Musk a white supremacist. We'll play a short snippet of it so that they don't try to take it down. All right, let's see what we got here.
Man, he's so damn ugly. Golly, but you look like a orangutan, bro. God.
You can talk to people. You can talk to people like that. We wouldn't keep constantly coming back to what we're trying to get away from. Everything that every forward movement we've had, they tried to strip away. Affirmative action, schools, diversity and inclusion, history, because they don't want to hear it because it's a challenge to the idea they have of themselves. And that man is the poster boy for that bullshit.
Well, you said
so I think there are some people you can talk to and there's some people you can't.
White supremacists, people are going to take, they're not going to take that lightly. They're going to go, man, you're saying that you're saying that Elon Musk is a white supremacist. That's harsh.
I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes. I'm saying if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. You can't
see.
Affleck.
Here's one of the problems that I see. He doesn't really talk about what Elon Musk said or anything like that. It's just, you disagree with me, so you're a white supremacist. I think that perspective is very, very flawed. I think it does more harm than good, because ultimately, here's what I don't think a lot of black people realize. If you name everything white supremacy, if you categorize it as that, and let's say that in 20 years, black people are more self-dependent, we are able to function more as a community, the black community and things like that, many of these problems fundamentally will still be there in terms of free speech, a lot of the issues that even intra-community we have to resolve. And if our way of solving them right now is saying that it's white supremacy, what are we going to do when we come together as a community and need to solve problems and can't blame it on white supremacy? We need processes in place. And so I think it's a very dangerous thing to just blanketly say someone is a white supremacist because they did an interview with Don Lemon and disagreed with Don Lemon. Like, speak to what he was saying, break down his argument. Don Lemon gave him a chance and been like, you're saying he's a white supremacist? Yes. If he walks like a duck, talks like a duck, he's a white supremacist. It's like, but so now you're categorizing people who think differently than you as a white supremacist, but not even explaining their argument, or you're like, I stopped following D.L. Hughley. To me, he's a clown and just, he parrots too much of the Democrat ideology. And it seems like he's co-opted.
Yeah, I think with that, and I don't even really follow DL Hughley at all, if that's even how you say his name. But black people, you have to be smart before you're black. And this was kind of a theme that we had last episode, um, where there's this attitude that we need to be like this before we work on ourselves internally, right? And like to me, that's a defeatist mindset for him. For him to come out and say Elon Musk is a white supremacist just because of what he said, is it really what he said? Are you jealous? Are you envious? Are you mad? Well, he controls this. Okay, why can't you control it? Because I'm black. That's not true, bro. It's just because you're lazy. You have no idea. You don't have the skills or knowledge to be in that profession. So how can you call somebody out and say that about them?
Well, and then if you watch more of the interview, I didn't want to show too much and get flagged, but if you watch more of it, he starts talking about yeah, I could see when you started interviewing him that he just had like some hatred in his eyes. He didn't like that you're black asking him questions. It's like he starts saying that, and it's just like the interview overall was a mainstream type of interview where like they try to pin you in a corner and ask certain questions in a certain type of way. And I think it backfired for Don Lemon. But what I can say about this interview, from what I've seen, is I do like how Don Lemon didn't feed into the racism part of it, because he could have easily been like, yeah, Elon Musk is a white supremacist. He kind of just was like, oh, wow, you think that people are going to give you, pushback for that. I don't know if he was just doing that strategically. I don't know that Don Lemon believes Elon Musk is a white supremacist. Because if he did, why would he want to go work for him? Because that he was going to be working for Elon Musk at X. So it's like, yeah. It said Elon Musk is a smug person. He's been that. I watched the whole interview. Listen, Elon Musk is also someone who has, I believe, Asperger's. So he literally, like, chemically doesn't do well with social interactions. And it's a very interesting biography as well. If you go look, I think it's Isaac Walters just wrote a book earlier on him. I listened to it on Audible. He's like that in his companies. He's been like that his whole life. It didn't just start with Don Lemon. This is a man who slept in his factory for like 2 or 3 years, I believe, and put a desk on the factory floor and slept under it, because that's how dedicated he was to building Tesla or SpaceX, those companies. And this is the work ethic that people will say, he only got what he got because of white supremacy. But it's like, when you're literally sleeping at the factory for years, sleeping at the rooftop of the building that you're working at, to me, that's more than white supremacy. It's hard work.
Yeah. And if he's a smug person, who cares? Who gives a damn? Like, if you don't resonate with him, you don't resonate with him. It's that simple. We live in a world now where if you don't agree with somebody, or somebody says something you don't like, it's a cancel culture. Instead of having a conversation and agreeing to disagree. Like, it's not that big of a thing. It is what it is. So, what doesn't resonate with you, let it go. You ain't got to comment on it. Just move along.
The Terminex people here, we got some wasp. Terminex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was today.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna play a little bit of the Don Lemon of them speaking about racism and stuff. Yeah, I did like his interviews on Joe Rogan. Thought they were interesting. We all sleep at the office. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know many people that sleep overnight at their office.
I sleep at my home.
Like, yeah. If you have an office at home, that's one thing. But I'm talking about like a factory. You have a separate home, and you're sleeping at the factory, I don't know many people that are doing that. I'm not sleeping on your lunch break. I'm saying you're no longer on shift and you're sleeping there 2-3 years straight. But maybe that's what most people are doing. I worked plenty of jobs and I don't know many people that I don't even know many places that would let you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was a slave. Everyone.
Well, not everyone was a slave.
No, everyone was a slave.
Okay, but
we are all descended from slaves.
Yeah, so
it's just a question of when. Was it more recent or less recent? That's it.
That doesn't mean a lot to a whole lot of people who aren't able to take advantage of the opportunities that you were able to take advantage of, simply because the color of your skin.
So what advantages does the color of my skin give me?
Well, there's an ease that you have in society that many people of color don't. There's a legacy of racism that still continues on in this country. That's undeniable.
If we keep talking about it nonstop, it will never go away. We keep making it the central thing, it will never go away.
Why do you believe that?
I think I'm just making a simple statement of fact. I think we want to get away from making everything a race or a gender or whatever issue. Just treat people like individuals. Everyone was a slave. Everyone.
Yep.
Would you consider that racist?
No. I just had a conversation with somebody this morning in a meeting, and I had to correct them on
everyone was a slave.
I had to correct them on that mentality of you got this because of your skin color or racism, X, Y, and Z. Because I don't believe in that. I didn't grow up that way either. Like, we didn't really care. We didn't give a damn what color you was back then. It's all about how you treat people. You know what I'm saying? And for me, not to say racism is a myth, but I think people have exaggerated it way too much to a point where every little thing is racism. If I walk into a store, right, and I walk into a suburban store, and it's in a nice neighborhood, very uptight, all these things, and they look at me some type of way, I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's racism, right? And I had to tell somebody about that today because they were like, when we walked into the store, these people just gave him a look, and I'm like, well, could it have been you coming into a small town, you look rich, gentrification is an issue for people, right? Or you're coming in a small town, not respecting the people, greeting people a certain way, or you're coming in and being obnoxious. It's more than just being racist. And I'm tired of that narrative and that rhetoric people keep pushing. It's racism, it's racism, it's racism. It's not racism, bro. Until they call you the N-word with the ER as hard as possible with exclamation points, it's not racism. People cannot like you for whatever reason. It could be religious too. I cannot like you because of the way you dress. Okay? Okay, then don't shop there. Don't go there. Huh?
Now I'm a bum.
I mean, people got to stop being so damn sensitive, bro. Go in, respect the people. If they don't respect you, that's okay. That's a part of life. As long as they don't put you in any immediate danger or threaten your life, cool. It's not our jobs to change everybody's perspective about things. If they don't want to, they don't have to. Just like with the transgender stuff. That's a war every day. Because you got this side who's for it, this side who ain't. And they clash every single day instead of just living their lives. Go on about your life, bro. Miss me with that racism stuff.
I'm for it.
And Elon Musk is from South Africa, right? If I'm not mistaken, he's from Africa, ain't he?
Yeah, he's from South Africa. People say that his father gave him money and stuff to start the business with, which isn't true.
Even if he did, who gives a damn? Why do we wear struggle and poverty as a badge of honor? If my parents worked extremely hard and my mom was born in the 70s, 80s era, and she worked extremely hard so I would never have to worry down the road, why am I going to invalidate that and dismiss that? We got to stop saying that. That's stupid.
You got to get it out the mud.
No, you don't have to get it out of the mud. Because you're still going to, even if, my mom can give me $1 million tomorrow and I can go open a business. That doesn't mean I'm going to know how to run it. I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to fail and I'm going to lose money. I'm going to make money. But we have to stop saying that. We have to stop saying, well, his dad gave him money. Okay, and? Ooh, to me, that's a good parent. That's a supportive parent. I applaud that. Because that means he didn't have to endure extra trauma or extra struggle dealing with unnecessary stuff because his dad did something for him. Like, come on, bro. Miss me with that. I hate that stuff.
And I clarify it because people use it as an excuse, but I clarify it, and when I do, people will be like, "Oh, you're just standing up for him. You're co-opted." But it's like, do we care about the truth or do we not care about the truth? He moved to America when he was 17 years old, stayed in like a one.
So he spent his whole life in South Africa.
Yeah, he grew up in South Africa, came to America at 17 years old on like a visa to go to school, and he was living with his mom. No, he had moved here by himself, I think, originally, and then his mom and some other people came later, and they all worked and split the bills, and they saved up money so that he could buy himself so that they could buy Elon Musk a computer, and then he could like be coding and stuff and writing code and do stuff like that. So they put all their eggs in a basket with him. When he was starting his company or whatever, he was actually, him and his brother were living, I think it was like at their office space. They didn't even have a separate place. They were living at their office space and would go shower at the gym and things like that. Like they did get it out the mud when it comes to growing their businesses. So it's like, it's weird that people would try to attach that, but that's an important point, because on one side we talk about generational wealth, but then we kind of shit on people who practice it.
Right.
It's like, that's the insult. Well, you got money and I didn't, so that's an insult. But it's like, okay, what are you saying?
What do you want me to do? Tell my dad, hey, you're a POS for helping me? Like, bro, come on now. People, you got to be smart before you're black. I'm gonna say that one more time. You have to be smart before you're black. You can't be black and not be smart. And there's no such thing as white Africans. That's not a thing. He's African. Overseas and all those other countries, they don't believe in that. They don't believe in the race. That's a social construct. Only in America. When I went to Germany, Switzerland, we went to Ireland. I've been to the UK, all these other places. Not once did they say you're black or you're brown skin, light skin. They said you were American. That was it. That race is only a thing in the States. So he would be considered African over there if he went. It would not be white African. That's not a thing.
Right. I'm trying to find this video where he talks about this. But someone said, what does getting it out the mud look like for Elon Musk?
Getting out of mud is a slang term for working hard. That's it. Working with what you have to be successful. That's literally it. It's backwards. So I watched a video about how black slang is just white people formal words. So getting out of the mud for us is working hard with what you have to be successful. That's it.
All right. And it's just, he actually did work hard for his businesses. Even if his dad gave him money, it's like, how many other people get way more money and don't have the type of business that he has? Businesses. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's good context though. Him living there, being there for 17 years, you know, that's good context, because you can't live there and not learn the principles, the morals, the values of the country that you're in. That's just not a realistic thing. And people will try to shortcut that and be like, nah, he moved here. Bro, he was basically an adult when he came to the States. So I have a lot more respect for that, because he lived there. That it'd be different if he was like 2 and then left, you know what I'm saying? But he really got to immerse himself in the culture, be around the people, all that type of stuff. So shout out to him and his family.
Yeah, let's see this. This is
his dad, like, is his mom or dad brown skin, or are they
no, they're both white.
Okay. Is it dad from there? Is mom and dad from there, or they just moved there?
I think his mom might be from Canada or Minnesota or something.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think she was like a dual citizen of Canada and the U.S.
Okay, yeah.
In starting the company, I had nothing. I had no income source. So we found that an office was actually cheaper than an apartment in Silicon Valley. So we got this dinky little office that had a leaky roof. It was just the nastiest place you can imagine. And you lived in it too. And I lived in it too, and showered at the YMCA. This lasted for about 3 or 4 months. And the reason we chose this office, in addition to it being really cheap, was that there was an internet service provider on the floor below. So we were able to get really cheap internet access by drilling a hole in the floor and connecting to their server directly. And starting the company.
So it's still an internet.
Do what you gotta do. That's getting out of the mud, right?
Hey,
getting out of the mud. Hey. Man, that's crazy that he said that about Elon Musk. That's wild, bro. Yeah, people, and that's what I said earlier. Is like, we gotta stop reaffirming these stereotypes, bro, and these stigmas. Like, who is D.L. Hughley to go on a show and say that about somebody, bro? Like, focus on the community. You focus on too many things outside of it. Talking about white supremacists. How many jobs has Elon Musk given to black entrepreneurs, black guys who are in like the tech world with Tesla, with SpaceX? I'm like, come on, bro. Miss me with that.
He said, nah, that's not getting it out the mud. What is getting it out? It's like,
again, bro, you can't wear it as a badge of honor. Just because you did with less to become successful doesn't mean it's any difference. Hard work is going to respect hard work no matter what it looks like.
Right.
I guess we got to live in a trap house then, I guess. You got to be watching out for all the people that's going to kill him.
Well, we'll have that conversation another. That makes the point. He was already in Silicon Valley. He moved to Silicon Valley.
And he could afford it. He just said he stayed in the office space.
He moved to Silicon Valley because that's where the tech industry is and was at the time. See, that's already after. That's already after he had been an adult.
Yeah.
You know?
Nah, he got to start from the bottom. He got to go from Florida to California.
He got to get some gold teeth. Start gang banging. Big Elon Crip.
I guess I didn't get out of the mud because I moved out west to go to school and basically on nothing. So I guess I didn't get out the mud because I was already in a rich area. Shout out to Pueblo.
All right, I gotta dip out. Gotta hold it to an hour today.
This guy.
Gotta hold it to an hour, but
he don't want to get out the mud.
I think if we might have our next topic, which is getting it out the mud. Like, what is getting it out the mud? Is generational wealth really the goal? Things like that.
Might need to get you a new T-shirt, brother.
Why?
You got a little pump, brother. Hey, I see the arms. No Diddy. Yeah, arms get a little too big for that shirt, brother. Now don't try to pull it down. Hey, that'll make a difference. Flex. Oh, hey. Okay, now. Let me tell you about this boy before he leaves. This man used to have a little pebble for a little bicep, a little pebble. Now he done got some size. Look at him. No Diddy.
No biggie. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in. This week we're not doing the call-in, short on time. Got some big projects, but we try to do more lives. Maybe we'll do one in the middle of the week or maybe tomorrow. But thank you for the support. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Elon Musk out.